Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the program. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. And before I read the following statement, I'm just going to make my own statement and ask for adults to step into the room at the Department of National Relations Cooperation, at Home Affairs in South Africa, in the presidency, your spokespeople. I'll ask for adults to step in the room and get control of the situation, which has spun out of control in South Africa between former officials and officials on the sidelines, running their mouth in the press, talking about things distracting from reality, the media carrying the water, telling lies about the events that unfolded a couple of days ago. I'm going to ask you politely to please get control of the situation, because if you do not, based on what I'm about to read to you, this will become very bad very soon for South Africa. The United States government has responded to the events that unfolded on Reconciliation Day, the 16th of December. In a media note published just a short while ago by the Office of Spokesperson for the Department of State, titled Doxxing and Harassment of American Officials by the South African Government. The United States condemns in the strongest terms the South African government's recent detention of U.S. officials performing their duties to provide humanitarian support to Afrikaners. Furthermore, the public release of our U.S. officials' passport information is an unacceptable form of harassment. This can only be seen as an attempt to intimidate U.S. government personnel in South Africa on official business. The United States will not tolerate such behavior toward its government's officials or toward any of its citizens who are legally and peacefully operating abroad. The public release of personal identifying information puts the official in harm's way. Failure by the South African government to hold those responsible accountable will result in severe consequences. We call on the government of South Africa to take immediate action to bring the situation under control and hold those responsible accountable. Now, what this statement tells us is that the lies being spread by News 24 and other media in South Africa, as well as certain government officials, that no officials were detained, no Americans were harassed, is balderdash. The U.S. government has made it quite clear, based on the information they have from the events that unfolded, that their officials were harassed and, as I've reported, doxxed. This is unacceptable behavior. South Africa is running to the press claiming that they're upholding the standards of diplomacy, but they're not. They're violating the very standards of the Vienna Conventions. Isn't it strange that not one single media outlet in South Africa has mentioned the Vienna Conventions? Why? Do they not know what they are? They govern diplomacy between international states. This is going to get very bad very quickly unless South Africa's government takes action against those who did this. Now, again, I will allow for the possibility that Home Affairs doesn't have control of its own personnel and that an overzealous official illegally took photographs of U.S. officials' passports who were there on official business and that they spread that over Twitter. I'll accept that. That's possible. But that doesn't abrogate the responsibility for South Africa's government to fine and punish those people for committing those crimes. It's a violation of South Africa's very own law, the Poppy Act, let alone international standards, and a violation of international conventions, which is a violation of international law. The ball is in South Africa's court. It's time to stop kicking your own goals. It's time to stop getting permanent red cards. It's time to get control of your officials and get this thing sorted out. Folks, this is not going to be a happy Christmas. Not going to be a happy Christmas. Let's get this under control before it escalates any further. The harm has already been done to the individual. His life is in jeopardy now. And the site where refugees were being processed in Woodmead, in Sandton, Johannesburg, I don't see how they can even use that site again, a place they signed a lease for, because of the irresponsible and reprehensible, morally bankrupt, and dare I say, potentially criminal activity of News 24 in doxing the website, intentionally putting potential refugees and the people who work there and American diplomats in harm's way. Not for the South African government. The South African government is not putting them in harm's way, and the South African government is not threatening those people. But other actors are, not the least of which is the media. What say you, South Africa? Mzansi. Merry Christmas.